Well, hello again, and welcome to Doing It Right. I loved us doing this show. It's 9 years now. I can't believe it. Can you? And my guest today is number 192, and I'm going to talk to you about her in a minute. But first, I want to remind you of something. I want you to know that this last year I've been doing so many keynotes, which I love to do. Have mouth, I guess we'll talk, right? But the name of it is from a book. It's Know, Show, and Grow Your Brand. And what that really is first how to know what you're all about. What's your reputation? Who are you? And we're going to be talking about that today. And then show, how do you show up? How do other people perceive you? What's your reputation? And grow is, are we always evolving? Because if we ever get to the point where we think we've made it, watch out. So that's a great keynote. If you're interested, you let me know. So I want you to hear a little bit about my guest today. You know, have you ever wondered or met someone that just has wisdom and you wonder, how do they have that? Well, my guest today has so much wisdom in developing leaders. She has such depth to the work that she does. You could just sit with her at her feet for hours, which I've done, and it seems like time flows. That describes my guest today, Dare Rosebery, who has devoted her entire life to developing what she calls uncommon, extraordinary leaders in organizations, not only in the United States, but abroad. So stay tuned.
Welcome to our podcast, Doing It Right. This podcast reveals authentic stories from successful leaders doing it right. It's about their journey to become a leader, their choices, motivations, and lessons. In essence, how they built successful personal brands. Your host is Valerie Sokolosky, author of 8 leadership books and nationally known as an authority on executive presence and personal branding. Let's get started. Here's Valerie.
Okay, I want to welcome Dare Rosebery to the show, and I am so honored, Dare. You told me this is your first podcast interview, is that right?
That's correct. So forgive me. And apologies in advance, anyone.
You know what? That wisdom is just going to start coming out. And you're beautiful and you have so much to share. So before we get too much further into the show, I do want to thank Betty Ryder Boutique for the wonderful clothes that she lets me wear on camera. Can you imagine what cost it would be if I had to buy a new outfit for every show? Betty Ryder Boutique at Preston Center, Preston Road, and Northwest Highway. Betty, thank you. Okay. And for the Valerieism today, here's what it is. Authentic leadership is not about authority. Rather, it's about the impact we have on others. We've talked this whole episode about that, so let me just say it again and let it cement into your stickiness. Authentic leadership is not about authority. Instead, it's about the impact you and we have on others. And that's it. In talking with you for several hours, because of that wisdom, one of the things you said, Dare, was it's important to galvanize others to be their best. And that's a gift of yours. So how do you do that? How do you do that? Give us an example.
You know, it's so interesting. We live in such a doing world. And so many people are focused on what they need to do. And when you ask them who they are, they don't know. And when you don't know who you are, it's really hard to function all the time at a high level because you're usually trying to be something other people want you to be. And I'm not saying you have to have your own way, because actually when you don't have your own way, it's going to be okay. But what I am saying is ask yourself, why do I exist? For the benefit of others. Discover who you are as a person, because if you become known for who you are, instead of what you do, you will have an unending amount of success in many areas that you might not even expect.
You know, that makes a lot of sense in that with so much career transition happening now and has been for quite a while, people get so attached there to the company they work for. So as an example, I will hear at conversations at cocktail parties, they'll talk about, well, I'm with, and I'll give you one that's a real story. I used to be with IBM, and here's what I did. And then they go off onto that instead of talking about now who they are when they were with IBM or who they are now and what they're doing. So I love that. Now, how do you get someone to learn how to put that out there? Because it can sound, Dare, a little self-serving on the surface. And I know it's not. So help me with that.
Well, I think that's because when you're talking about purpose, it's about who you are for the benefit of others and understanding the gifts that you have, your unique gifts. And are you familiar with Maslow's pyramid?
Yes.
I call it the pyramid of do. All right. So
I like
when
that.
you have in the foundation, he's like, oh, you got to go get your food, water, shelter, then maybe you'll get a good job, and then maybe you'll have some self-esteem, and someday you'll get to actualize. Here's the thing. What is actualization? Actualization is about discovering your why, who you are. When you understand that, when you understand your gifts, you will be able to live them out and perform at levels higher than anyone else because you understand it and you can apply it in all the various ways. And then all those things that you want in your life, it's like you flip the pyramid and now they come to you because you know who you are and who you're not. And that's equally important.
So take this to a team, people that are working in an organization. And I loved the story you talked about when we did our pre-interview about the wow factor and the little, what did you call it? The little company that could, or I love that story about actualization. Now, this is a team we're talking about.
Yes.
And a lot of people who are listening and watching are in companies.
So interestingly, if you are in a business, the best thing that you can do is discover purpose, why you exist for the benefit of others, your customers, your guests. Because really, they don't care if you're number one in the industry. It will open your mind so much more to be able to see the possibilities of delivering products and services that really are of value to the customer. So the company you're talking about now, they discovered a purpose of create the wow. And think about that. If you're a lodge and you're in the hospitality industry and everybody now has a North Star around which they can make decisions.
That'd be good.
Wouldn't that be good?
Be great.
Because if you don't have that North Star, how do you think people make decisions?
Probably on the fly.
On the fly, or maybe whatever's best for them or their team. However, if you want to align an organization and get operational consistency, give everyone a way to make decisions. If they're a little bit off, it'll be okay because they made it with their purpose in mind. So for example, if you're the housekeeper or you're the operations manager or you're in catering or you're in the restaurant, if you are thinking, well, what I'm about to do, create the wow, then you can either say yes and proceed or no and maybe rethink that.
Or not even think about it.
Or not even
Just
think
go
it
to
becomes
work.
a part of who you are. Purpose, when you have purposeful people, they will do it naturally.
I want to get deeper into the word purpose. And here's why. You know that I do a lot of personal branding work. And part of that is to talk about one's purpose. Very seldom can someone come up with their purpose. I had a workshop one time, Dare, where I asked that question. And I told everybody just to be quiet for 1 minute, think about their word purpose, and write down what they felt it was. And Dare, this is what happened. Pen in hand, looking at the paper, and it did not touch. The two didn't come together. They couldn't do it. So Please help us with that. How did you discover your purpose? Give us some
So,
ideas.
absolutely. It's so interesting because people, they're so geared. I mean, when was the last time you walked up to somebody and said, "Who are you?"
Well, not often.
Never, probably.
Right.
Right? They're always, "What do you do?" And you mentioned that I've worked also abroad, and I will tell you, Americans have this. They wrap their identity around their job. They wrap it around whatever it is that they do. And the unfortunate thing about that, and I've worked with executives who worked for 20 years, and then all of a sudden something came in, private equity made some changes, or, the economy went down and they were let go. And all of a sudden it was like a stun gun to the brain. They literally could not think of all the amazing things that they had accomplished because all of a sudden what they did was gone.
So what should they be thinking?
They should be thinking, well, there's 3 prompts right away that you can start with. And one of them, the first one is, who am I? Now, you're going to be tempted to say something that you do, but you can say, I'm a mother, I'm a giver, I am loyal, I am outgoing, I'm shy, I'm, caring about people. Whatever it is, think about words that describe who you are as a person.
That you think.
Yeah, that you think. Yeah, that you think who you are as a person. And then the next thing you'll want to do is say, okay, well, because of this, I ... And then write down some things because of those things about you. You can do them one at a time. You can do them together. I mean, it's your journey, and it's not going to work the first time, probably. And then after that, the third prompt is why? Why do I do those things?
That's a good
And
one.
it'll help you to get closer to that. So you asked about my purpose. For about 2 years when I was on this journey, I thought my purpose is to help others be successful.
That sounds good.
Okay, it sounds pretty good, right? Yeah, definitely. But then as I kept thinking about it, I'm like, well, now, wait a minute. How do I help others be successful? How is it? What is my gift? What is my way? And eventually it came to me and it's funny because people had referred to me this way, but I hadn't thought about it in the full roundedness of what it was. So I'm often referred to as a connector.
Yes, you
Now,
are.
that is a byproduct, though, of how I think, who I am. Because from the time I was little, I've always been able to see things that other people don't see.
Like what?
Or how things connect together. So, for example, when I was living in the Netherlands, when that really jettisoned my career, actually, that ability. I actually was just going after work one day. I was talking to the director of a company we've been working with, and Johan said to me, "Der, jij bent Amerikaanse, toch?" And I was like, "Yeah, Johan, I'm American. How can I help you?" Because by that time I spoke Dutch fluently, but I always remember that because, the next words were, well, we want to go to America, but we're really concerned that it's going to cost us a whole lot of money. We're going to have to invest all this money and do all these things. And I looked at him, I said, Johan, gosh, I get that, but I think you have a bigger issue. Bigger issue than money? Imagine. And I said, yes. I said, if people know the Netherlands, typically they know it as Holland, right? And they think wooden shoes and tulips. They're not thinking technology. They have no idea that, Rotterdam is the largest port in the world. They, next to Singapore, they quibble, but now Rotterdam, true to its nature, is actually recovering land from the sea to build an extra pier. They don't know that. They don't know that at that time when we were talking, the Netherlands was the 4th largest investor in the US. No clue. Why would you know that? And I said, Johan, I bet even probably 95% of Americans don't even realize that Shell is a Dutch company. The Royal Dutch Shell Company. Why would they know that? Because the Dutch have been very good at assimilating wherever they are, right? That's a great lesson, by the way.
Right
be
there.
who others need you to be. And they do that.
Oh, I
they
like
speak your
that.
language.
Yeah.
They fit right in. So I said, Johan, honestly, I think that, your bigger problem is going to be credibility. Because who's going to want to give you their portfolio, technology portfolios? Why are they going to want to do that? They don't think about Dutch in that way. And I said, have you ever heard of a military offset commitment program? And he said, no, what is that? And I said, well, I learned about it because I'm a member of the Rotterdam American Business Club. And it turns out, guess what? Do you know what one is? Have you ever heard of that
No.
before? Don't worry, a lot of people haven't. But essentially, well, at that time, the Netherlands had bought Apache helicopters from the United States. And guess what? That is not a cash and carry deal. That comes with a myriad of trade agreements, a myriad of different things that, offset, they call it, for the country.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the radar systems had to be built by Hollands de Signal, a Dutch company. The company I was currently working for at the time, we needed CAD engineering and all kinds of machines and different things that we didn't have, but we were going to be able to get access to through McDonnell Douglas, who later became Boeing. But at the time, they were McDonnell Douglas. So I was telling Johan about this, and I was like, you know what? I heard that they also have a marketing division, a marketing offset. And they are offering Dutch companies who want to go to America offices in 30 Rock, which now known as 30 Rock, but the Rockefeller Center, right? GE, because GE Trading is an arm of GE, and GE made the engines. I was like, I don't know, Johan, but if
And
I
this
were
is
you,
helping him with his
exactly.
purpose?
I'm just thinking. Well, I'm thinking about I'm living out my purpose at that moment.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm connecting things he had no idea about. Had never thought about it. He did not see that money was not their biggest issue.
So we're not born knowing our purpose, is what you're saying.
Yes, we're not born knowing it. No, we're born with the gifts that we have, but often we get on. Well, I like to say, the last time we were probably just being was when we were in the womb. Because by golly, by the time we come out, we are starting to do, and we're doing what our parents tell us or what our friends are telling us or whatever we think is going to make us a lot of money, whatever it may be, we're on a doing track. The problem with that is that we often will start doing things that aren't really in alignment with who we are. And most of the time when I get the phone call is after somebody's hit the snooze button for 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. They've become very successful in whatever it was that they were doing, but they don't feel fulfilled. They're not happy.
Stop on that, because I think that's really important. I'd like you to tie, and going back, what I want the audience to know is that DARE is the champion in working with leaders and emerging leaders to really uncover who they are at the core and to discover their purpose. Wouldn't we all like to do that? So stay tuned, because I'm going to ask you more about that. I know too that it's important. You have what I'll call a formula, a formula that you say purpose, knowing your purpose, plus having a vision. This is for any of us now. Plus a mission, which I want you to give me the understanding of that. Purpose plus a vision plus a mission is what brings you results. So unpack those 3 words, DARE.
Yeah.
For an individual.
So for an individual, because you can use this with your organization, your team, your North Star. So for an individual, it happens like this. First of all, I call it the sustaining success equation. Any of you guys that are familiar with an equation, you've got inputs and an output. Now, interestingly, whenever I ask somebody, so as a person, tell me, what would you like as outcomes and results? If you want to go down the individual track. So go ahead. What are some things you would like?
Success, business opportunities, recognition, the ability to bring value to whoever it is in the company, the teams, the people, the individuals, the organization.
So those are the results and outcomes you want.
That's right.
They're on the right side of the equation, behind the right side of the equal sign, okay? And many people will focus on that right side, but there's a lot of stuff that's out of your control over there.
Oh, really?
I've literally sat with executives and they're like, we want to earn $50 million a year, $50 million more next year. I know. I'm like, okay, how are we going to do that?
Oh, it's the how?
Crickets.
Oh,
right.
I think
So what you've got to do then is you've got to recognize that your results are an output. Okay. And you've got inputs. So the left side of the equation, you have inputs, purpose, vision, and mission. Now, purpose, knowing why we exist for the benefit of others. And for those of you, if you're listening to the audio, I have a fun little game, and I totally credit Jen, a millennial, because I was trying to figure out to help her understand what is the difference between being self-focused and others-focused. Okay.
Yes.
So you ready?
Yes.
You're going to play with me?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
All right. So make an okay sign, please.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay,
Now,
I'll make an okay sign.
Okay,
Got it.
Got it. All right. So
Well,
great. All right. Now we're going to close her down.
Close her
Okay,
down.
very good. Now put it over your eye and look through it, please. If you're driving, don't do this right now, or at least keep your eyes on the road.
I can't see anything outside
Okay.
of the circle.
Yeah, you've got to hold down. Keep it there because we are a self-focused being, right?
Okay.
Now, open it up. Wow.
There's a lot more out
A
there.
lot more out there. You can see so much more. So that moment when I was sitting with Johan, for example, that's what I was doing. I wasn't focused on me. I was focused on him. I was focused on thinking about all the various things that were important to his business. And I was able to see connections that he couldn't see.
Which is a gift.
It is a gift. And it is my gift. And once I really recognized that, I understood then wherever I went, I would be able to do that for others. So if you're an individual and you understand that, then you can apply it in many different ways. It's absolutely amazing. Purpose is our greatest leader.
So I want to stop on the purpose and on each of those in unpacking, because these were your words and I wrote them down. I wanted to remember them forever. So listen up. Purpose, vision, and mission. Purpose keeps us other focused. That's what you just showed us. Is consistent and helps us make better decisions. Think about that. If we know our purpose, why wouldn't it help us make better decisions? Vision is, you say, what unites the hearts of others to join us in the journey. That's a big one. In other words, a leader isn't just tell, but that's going to be blah, blah, blah. But if you share a vision, I might want to be on your journey. I like that a lot. And then mission provides us clarity and priority. And you say that mission should be evolving and show us whether we're succeeding as we're moving toward our vision.
Yes.
So think about that now. I hope you've written that down. I'm going to say it again. The sustaining success equation is having a purpose that's other focused. Others focused. Too many people sometimes that I meet just casually, it's all about me. I hear all about me. They never want to know anything about anybody else. So other focused. And then the vision. What is it that is your vision as a leader, as a team person that has ideas within the organization? You may not be the leader, but you're a team member. What's your vision, right? And then the mission that's always evolving.
So interesting.
That's easy.
Interestingly enough, I will tell you that purpose and mission are often confused, and mission is often confused. I love doing pro bono planning intensives for nonprofit organizations, because I believe if we have people that want to do good in the world, let us help them think more effectively. Let us help them go be more in the world. And so where nonprofits get stuck sometimes is they talk about their mission.
That's true.
And it limits them, because mission is a doing statement.
Okay.
Purpose is a being statement. It is who we are, who we're not. It gives you the umbrella under which you can grow. If you're talking about a mission, it may be what you're doing today, but it won't allow you to grow in certain ways or make it more difficult. And so if you understand that mission is really something that you're carrying out for a period of time, now that will depend, right? In traditional industry, that might be 3 years. In the AI world, it might be 6 weeks, but whatever that is. And for you as an individual, understanding where you have to focus. And as we're in the new year, think about this, you guys. If you understand who you are, okay, and you have a vision that you can invite others to join, and then you have a mission, you understand where you're going and can get other people on that journey with you, all those results that you want are going to be a byproduct of that.
I understand all that. Now I want to get a specific.
Okay.
I want you to tell me quickly, wish we had more than 30 minutes, a story of someone that I'll use one of your top takeaways, which was this. You said, our lives follow our thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give us a specific of someone that was able to take this information you now go out into organizations and help them fulfill?
So you want for an individual?
I want to, yes, I want you to give a specific situation where they applied what you're saying.
Okay. So
it could be you.
It could be me. Well, it's definitely me because, nobody would have looked at me and said I wasn't confident, but I was not self-assured. And discovering my purpose helped me become self-assured.
Oh, stop right there and say that again. That's so powerful.
Well, now I'll give you a specific example of a story that changed my view on that, since we're talking about perspective and how our lives follow our thinking. So I know you love to cook because I've eaten your delicious food. So I don't even have to ask you if you know how to boil water, right? But imagine now we have 3 pots of boiling water on the stove. Okay. And I say, hey, Valerie, I want to show you something. Come on over here. We got this boiling water. All right. Grab a potato, an egg, and some coffee. All right. And the first one, drop the potato. Second one, the egg. Third one, the coffee. Okay. Now let's go chat and hang out for a bit, and we'll come back in like 10, 15 minutes. All right.
Okay.
This is where I usually tell people to chef or not. But anyway, come back in 10 minutes. Now, I say, take them out. What do you see? So when we take the potato out, what do you see, Valerie?
Probably the skin was on, it's starting to come off.
Okay, maybe. And what's happened to the potato itself?
It's gotten softer.
Gotten softer. Okay, what about the egg? What's happened to our egg?
It started to cook.
Started to cook, which means?
Got harder.
Got harder, right? On the inside. Okay, now lean over, if you will, and smell that aroma of the coffee.
I love
now,
this.
what has happened there?
Oh, my goodness. It became other focused.
Yeah, well, it mixed with its environment, right? And made it better. For me, that's when I began to understand that self-assurance is like that. Understanding your purpose is like that. You can live it out in any circumstance. Remember, okay, you don't tell anybody, but I am a recovered control freak.
Really?
And for those of you that are out there that are dealing with being that, call me. Because it is possible to recover, and the people around you are going to be so happy.
That's
Because
true.
I didn't understand the impact I was having, how I was limiting both myself and the people around me. But discovering purpose helped me release my fear, my need for control. I was so worried about how other people would see me that you couldn't even get to know me. Not really, because there was a wall between you and me.
That makes it very real.
It makes it really real. But now I can show up and be who I am, regardless, because I know how I'm of value to people.
Dare, if you meet somebody at a conference who, I use the word whams you. What about me? What about me? What about me? And I'm going to tell you more about me. You haven't asked, but I'm going to keep talking, and you're going to hear everything. And by the way, did you also know kind of people? Have you ever met anyone like that? Okay. Now, how do you combat that with the principles you're talking about? What would you say to somebody to get them to be engaged, therefore other focused, when innately they don't seem to be?
Well, that takes time. It doesn't happen right away. We are a self-focused, natured people. But, it's interesting. It's funny. My first thought when you said that was, I typically will go, oh, so nice to meet you. I see my husband over there.
And get out of there.
Get out
okay,
there.
we can
but
do that.
That is exactly you. If you, by the way, are looking for a job or a role, I used to say to people all the time, don't be looking over their shoulders. Don't be saying, get to know someone. It's way better to get to know someone. If you leave knowing 3 people from somewhere,
That's so true.
you are so much better off. And for people who were shy, I remember exactly, I was like, well, you know what? Try to think about it like people are gifts waiting to be opened. Right. And then
That's
it'll
nice.
be more like Christmas and less like torture. And as cheesy as that is, it works.
Okay. Great stuff. Let me go to, in the short time we have left, we could talk for another 2 hours, but I love the depth of the things that you're saying, Dare, and the fact that this is what you do. You go into companies and you work with these people and emerging leaders and leaders at the top. All of us need to be better at understanding our purpose and the who rather than the do, the who and the do.
You know, I will tell you, I worked with a gentleman one time. He called me. I'd worked with his team, and when I was in Philadelphia, and he called me one day. He's like, Dare, I'm really worried. I think I'm going to get fired. I cannot get control of my emotion.
Mm.
And I said, so where are you on your purpose journey? And he was like, what? He's like, why do you say that? Because I'd worked with his leader. And he's like, Chris is always telling me to, like, you know, where are you on your purpose journey? And he's like, I don't have time for purpose. I don't have time for that. It doesn't make any sense. Da, 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 da. I'm like, okay, well, guess what? If you don't figure that out, you know, if you don't become more others focused, if you don't understand how you can be better, you will lose this job. So do you want to try and find it? He's like, yes. I'm like,
And
great.
then you
And
did.
he discovered that he was an improver. And so he started calling, I'm not even kidding, he coined the leadership comma, Angelo. And he would say, before he was going to speak, is this about to improve the person or situation? If so, proceed. If not, keep your mouth shut. And if you got to leave the room, do that too.
That's very
And not
stunning.
only did that save him, he was a regional manager. He not only retained his job, he became a regional vice president.
And you know,
And
that's
it impacted his family incredibly also.
thank you for
who he
that
was.
story.
Mhm.
Thank you for that story. Other focused.
Yeah, be others focused.
But you can't be other focused if you don't know the who you are. And
Well, you
it's
can
not
be.
about
You
the
got to
do.
shift it from you.
Yes.
You got to be caring about what others think, right? Being others focused is to stop, to die to self, essentially, and be more concerned with the well-being and the people around you, becoming who others need you to be, not who you want to show up as.
And that, dear, is what makes good leaders good leaders. And we know if we're following a good leader or not. So, audience, we're all leaders. I think that's the thing I want to say in closing this out. It's not about a title. It's not. Anyone in the organization, all the way down to the janitor, can be purpose driven. And I think you ought to write a book, dear. This has been incredible. I want to mention before we close, audience, there's a one pager that if you want this, you just let me know. Email me at valerieandcompany.com, and I will send you the think sheet for discovering your purpose. Isn't that cool? Don't we all want to know that? So just email me, valerieandcompany.com, and I will send you Dare's think sheet for developing your purpose. Dare, this has been just a real conversation about real people who are doing real things. And the part that just really stuck with me, the sticky part of what you've talked about in purpose, is a lot about that is going to work every day, particularly when we're under pressure, and getting to our doing. And the more we think about the who we are and what we're doing, the how we're doing what we're doing, that's kind of, to me, the net. Is that a good net to end with?
Think how before what.
There you go.
Always.
That's even
How
better.
we
See?
do things is more important than what we're doing. Absolutely.
I'll leave with that. How we're doing. You know, audience, if you're enjoying this show, I want you to think about hitting that red button and subscribing to it There's Google juice behind doing that, and it's really important. So hit the red button, subscribe so you don't miss any other wonderful guests on the shows. And also, I'd love it if you share the podcast. If you've learned something, send it to someone else. See what resonates with them if it did with you. And I want you to know, I respond to every single comment you ever make after the show in the show notes. So if you've got ideas or you want to talk more or you have ideas of guests you think should be on the show, just let me know. Valerie at valerieandcompany.com. That's it for now. Until next time, stay authentic. And as Dare said, know your purpose and go out and live it. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you,
Until
Valerie.
next time.
You are so amazing. I appreciate you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's good to have
Thank you for having this show, because I love how you profile all the good in the world and all these leaders and people who are out there doing the right thing and being the right person for others. It's absolutely amazing. And I know how much time and effort and how you've dedicated yourself, and we are all blessed, and the world is a better place with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, watchers and listeners. Until next time. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening. To receive Valerie's voice, free monthly leadership tips, and to learn more about her leadership programs and coaching, visit her website, valerieandcompany.com. Next week, we'll be here again to inspire, engage, and equip you with teachable points of view from successful leaders who have been doing it right. Until then, lead authentically.